Hello guys, we are here with a new packet for the second week here. This is your packet from March 30th to April 3rd, which is this week. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do lesson 8 today, and then we'll do the rest of the packet this week. So lesson 8 is over informational text, and here's what it says. When you read a story or an article, you judge its quality. Quality is how good something is. Can you trust the information in it? Is it true and correct? Does the writer give reasons and evidence to back up his or her ideas? This lesson will give you some tips to help you answer these questions. Read the following letter. It was written in response to a school newspaper article titled, "Should Students Use Calculators?" Letter to the editor. Dear editor, I think we should be allowed to use calculators in school. Calculators are used every day all over the world. Like computers, they are important tools that we should learn how to use. Some people say calculators keep us from learning how to do things like addition and multiplication in our minds. Here's my idea. Allow us to use calculators only on tests. We would get plenty of practice doing math problems the long way on our homework. On test day, we would spend less time writing to figure out the answers. The time we would save could be spent answering even more problems. Jefferson Primary School lets students use calculators on tests, and their test scores have gone up 20% in the last year. In addition, because we would write less, our papers wouldn't be as messy. Teachers could grade them faster and more easily. We would use less paper on tests, and that's the only way to help the environment. Also, my hand would be a lot less tired at the end of the day. I hope your readers will think about these ideas. Sincerely, David Wilson. Tip 1. Decide how the author's choices show his or her purpose for writing. Authors write nonfiction for a few reasons. Sometimes the purpose is to inform. To inform is to give information. Articles that inform are usually full of facts, which are statements that can be proven true. They include few opinions or the author's feelings about the topic. You'll learn more about fact and opinion later in this lesson. If there are two sides to an issue, the writer presents each side fairly. Sometimes the purpose is to persuade. To persuade is to make someone agree with an opinion. These articles use facts to support the writer's views. If there are two sides to an issue, the writer presents one as the best. For example, imagine an article that informs about bears. It lists a number of facts. It explains what bears eat, how big they are, and so on. Now imagine a writer wants to persuade people to save bears. This article uses different information. It explains how cities have driven bears from their homes. It tells about groups that try to save bears. It also includes opinions about the beauty of bears. When trying to decide an author's purpose, look at how the information that the author uses helps show why he or she is writing. What kind of information does David Wilson use in his letter? How calculators work? Why calculators are helpful? Groups that make calculators, in the history of calculators. In that passage, in that letter, does he explain how calculators work? No, he doesn't explain how calculators work in his letter. Does he give reasons why calculators are helpful? Yes. In fact, he says here in his letter, they would get plenty of practice doing math problems on the homework, but on test day, they would spend less time writing to figure out the answers. That's helpful. It's also helpful because it could help their test scores go up. Also, they would write less, the papers wouldn't be as messy, teachers could grade them faster, and it helped the environment. So he gave lots of reasons why calculators are helpful. Let's look at C. Groups that make calculators. Did he talk about who makes calculators? No, he didn't. And D, the history of calculators. Did he give us a history of calculators? No, no history. So the only answer that makes sense and that we've seen in the passage is B, why calculators are helpful. Tip 2, decide whether the author supports his or her ideas. Authors should back up their ideas with evidence to show their ideas are correct. Evidence is information that supports an idea. It includes details, examples, and facts. Facts are pieces of information that can be proved true or false. Supporting evidence should be clearly linked to the topic. Writers should also offer reasons to agree with their views. They must explain why readers should accept one view and not another. They should show why something is important. They should tell how following their suggestions will help. Which evidence from David Wilson's letter offers the best support for allowing calculators to be used in schools? So let's take a look. To me, the best support in this letter that's going to appeal to who he's writing this to is probably going to be this piece of evidence right here. It says, Jefferson Primary School lets students use calculators on tests, and their test scores have gone up 20% in the last year. That's pretty persuasive. That's some good evidence, because that's saying if you let us use calculators, our test scores could possibly go up 20% or more. So that's some good evidence, and it's a fact. So, which evidence from David Wilson's letter offers the best support for allowing calculators to be used in schools? We talk about this a lot. Anytime you take something from a passage, you have to make sure that it's in quotation marks, showing that you aren't the one that came up with that. So I'm going to write it word for word, and I'm going to use quotation marks. Jefferson Primary School lets students use calculators on tests, comma, and their test scores have gone up 20% in the last year. So I'm going to read that again. And I can't forget to put my end quotes here. Jefferson Primary School lets students use calculators on tests, and their test scores have gone up 20% in the last year. Why is this evidence the best support? I think this piece of evidence is a good piece of support, first of all, because it's a fact. It is the best support because it is a fact. It's a fact that Jefferson Primary let their students use calculators and their scores went up 20%. It's also a good piece of evidence because it's very persuasive. It's saying basically if we did this, our test scores could go up as well. It is also a good piece of evidence because it is persuasive. A principal or a teacher is going to go, oh wow, their scores went up 20%? Maybe we should try that. Tip 3. Notice whether a statement is a fact or an opinion. Ask yourself how the author supports his or her ideas. Is the author making statements of fact or opinion? As you know, a fact is a statement that can be checked to see if it is true. It uses words with meanings everyone can agree on, such as number or size. That tree is a yellow poplar. It is 100 feet tall. An opinion tells how someone feels. It cannot be checked to see whether it is true. It may be true to some people, but not to others. Opinions use words that mean different things to different people. The tree in my yard is the most beautiful in town. It has lovely blossoms. So here, you'll see this is a fact, this is an opinion. This can be proven. Is it yellow? Yes. Is it a poplar? Yes. Is it 100 feet tall? It can be measured. This one, most beautiful in town. Can you prove that? No, because what you think is beautiful, someone else might think is ugly. It has lovely blossoms. Can you prove that? No, someone else might think the blossoms are not lovely, that they stink. So that is an opinion statement. Find a statement of fact from David Wilson's letter and write it on the lines that follow. Well, this one here that we wrote is a fact. Let's see if there's any other facts in here. There may be and there may not be. All right, let's go ahead and go with that same one because I think that is the best fact out of his whole letter. So I'm just going to write it again. If you want to just do an arrow and draw an arrow down here, you can. It's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and write it again. Jefferson Primary School. That probably should be capitalized. Lets students use calculators on tests and their test scores have gone up 20% in the last year. Exclamation point, quotation marks. All right, so I just repeated that same one because I think it's the best fact in the passage. Find a statement of opinion from David Wilson's letter and write it on the lines that follow. An opinion statement. Okay, let's see here. An opinion statement. Something that cannot be proven. Teachers could grade them faster and more easily. I wonder how he could prove that. It might take one teacher longer to grade for some reason. One teacher might like the writing. Maybe it helps them stay focused and on track when they're grading. Maybe they can follow the student's train of thought. I think that's an opinion statement, because he doesn't know for sure if it's truly going to make it faster and easier for the teachers. So let's go ahead and copy that one. Teachers could grade them faster and more easily. That's an opinion statement. What's easy to one person could be hard to someone else. Don't forget your quotation marks. Teachers could grade them faster and more easily. Okay, there we go. Teachers could grade them faster and more easily. Of course, facts can be wrong. For example, an article might contain this fact. It is 300 miles from London to Paris. This fact is not correct, but it is still a fact. It uses fact words and can be checked. You could use an atlas or a website to check the distance between London and Paris. The actual distance between London and Paris is approximately 210 miles, and that is a true fact. Tip number 4, check the author's reasoning. When writers try to persuade the reader, they may make mistakes in their reasoning. In other words, they may use arguments that don't make perfect sense. Here are 2 common mistakes. Slippery slope. Saying that one event will lead to worse and worse events. If we start using a different brand of computers, This school will fall apart. False choice. Saying there are only 2 choices when there are actually more. If we can't go to the pool today, there won't be anything to do. Find a mistake in David Wilson's reasoning and write it on the lines below. Then label it as either a false choice or a slippery slope. All right, let's see here. I'm looking to see. Ooh, here's a good one. We would use less paper on tests, and that's the only way to help the environment. Interesting. That's the only way to help the environment. Do you think them using less paper on tests is the only way for them to help the environment? I don't think so. I'm going to copy that sentence word for word with my quotation marks because I'm taking it straight from the passage. We would use less paper on tests, comma, and that's the only way to help the environment. Now, what do you think this is? Is this a slippery slope, saying that one event will lead to worse and worse events? Or is this the false choice, saying there are only 2 choices when there are actually more? I think this is a false choice because it's saying that's the only way to help the environment. It's saying there's only one way, there's only one choice. But really, there's more ways you can help the environment. So this is a false choice. You've got to be careful about that when you're writing persuasive writing. Tip number 5. Look at how authors order their ideas. Understanding how authors organize their writing will help you better understand their ideas. To organize means to put ideas in an order that makes sense. Here are some ways authors organize their writing. Cause and effect. Explaining how one event causes something else to happen. A writer might use cause and effect to explain night and day. Opinion and supporting reasons. Giving an opinion and listing reasons to accept that opinion. This type of organization makes it clear that the author wants to persuade the reader. Order of events. Telling about things in the order that they happened. A writer might use order of events to tell about a family vacation. Compare and contrast. Telling what is alike and different about 2 or more ideas. A writer might compare and contrast 2 TV shows to decide which is better. You will learn more about how authors organize text in Lesson 9. Tip number 6. Compare one author's ideas to another's. Don't take one author's word for it. Find out what someone else has to say. Look at more than one source of information on the topic. This is especially true if a writer is trying to persuade you to do or buy something. Not everybody has the same opinion about everything. Some people like pepperoni on their pizza, but others would rather have green peppers. 2 fans of the same baseball team may have different reasons for liking that team. 2 or more authors writing about the same topic may have different points of view. It can be helpful to notice how they agree and disagree. You should compare the opinions of different authors whenever you are assigned to write or speak about a topic. Read the following paragraphs, then answer the questions that follow. Author 1. Our school needs a new library. The present library is overflowing with too many books and bookshelves. Students have a hard time sitting comfortably to study. The big new computer area has taken up a lot of space. Now that there are enough computers for everyone, we need a library that has plenty of space for books and students. Author 2. Our school library needs to be replaced. It's much too crowded, especially when many students use it at the same time. Another problem is that the computer area is too small. It doesn't have enough computers for everyone. Books are nice, but we need fast computers to get along in the 21st century. On which two ideas do the authors agree? So there are two things that these two authors are saying that they both agree with each other on. Okay? Their first sentence right here. Our school needs a new library. Our school library needs to be replaced. So they are both saying their school needs a new library. They're agreeing on that. Their school needs a new library. Okay. The second thing is, let's see. Okay. They're both agreeing that it's too crowded. It says the present library is overflowing with too many books and bookshelves. Students have a hard time sitting comfortably to study. The big new computer area has taken up lots of space. We need a library that has plenty of space for books and students. And this person said it's much too crowded, especially when many students use it at the same time. Their computer area is too small. So the second thing that they're agreeing on is the library, the current library, is too small and crowded. Okay, the next one. What is one point about which the authors disagree? Okay, so let's take a look. This one says, now that there are enough computers for everyone, we need a library that has plenty of space for books and students. This person says, books are nice, but we need fast computers to get along in the 21st century. And this person says it doesn't have enough computers for everyone. This one says now that there are enough computers for everyone. So this person thinks there are enough computers. This person thinks there are not enough computers. This person wants more books and room for students, and this person wants more computers. So, one thing they disagree about is the first author thinks they have enough computers, while the second author wants more. So the first author thinks they have enough computers, while the second author wants more. List some of the opinion words each author uses to persuade readers. So let's list author 1 here. Some opinion words. Okay. Okay, here's an opinion word, needs. Needs. Too many books. Too many books and bookshelves. Students have a hard time Okay, so some words that the first author uses is needs. School needs a new library. Well, that's an opinion, because some people might not think they need a new library. Too many books. So too many, that's opinion words. Have a hard time. They're having a hard time sitting comfortably. Well, one person might be comfortable. Okay, second author. Let's go on to the second author. Our school, again, needs replaced. Much too crowded. Too small. Okay. So one person might think it's too crowded. Another person might not. So the words the second author uses are needs, much too crowded, and too small. Those are all opinion words that these authors are using to try to get their point across. Tip 7. Think about other ways authors make their ideas clear. An author's main job is to make readers understand his or her ideas. Without this skill, an author cannot persuade anybody. Authors have some tools to make sure their ideas are clear. Sometimes authors explain important words. They give examples to support a point. Other times, they may use a simple idea to describe a difficult one. For example, an author telling about stars might say this: "A star may look small in the sky, but it is a giant ball of gas like our sun." Special type can help authors stress important information. An author may use italics to show that a word is used strongly. Bold-faced often shows that a word is important for understanding the topic. Authors may even use quotation marks to show that a word is being used in an unusual way. All right, so now we are ready for the next portion of today's lesson. And here we have a nonfiction article. It says, "This passage tells about a woman who helped a sick friend. Read the passage, then answer numbers 1 through 8. Signs of Life by Mike Acton. Living in a special home. Mary Acton lives in a group home. It is a home for people who have a hard time living alone. She lives with friends who have become family to her. Mary and her friends take care of one another. All of the friends have special needs. They also share their home with the person who manages the house. In Mary's house, the manager is a woman named Pat. She looks out for the group and keeps the house in working order. Life with Down syndrome. Mary was born with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a health problem that affects the body and mind. People with this condition have difficulty learning. Mary has lived with it all her life, but it hasn't stopped her from making great friends. She also does chores around the house. When Mary isn't helping to clean, she likes to watch television with her friends. She loves to tell everyone what's on. That's why they call her the TV guide. Mary's time in school. Before she lived in the group home, Mary went to a school for special children. With the help of a caring teacher, Mary learned to use sign language. It is a way of making words with your hands. Using sign language is one of Mary's greatest talents. When she moved to the group home, she was able to talk to those who couldn't hear. Little did Mary know that her talent would soon save a life. Mary saves the day. One night, Mary heard Pat making loud wheezing noises. Pat was suffering from an asthma attack. Asthma is an illness that affects a person's breathing. During an attack, someone like Pat can't breathe on her own. Luckily, Pat also knew sign language. Pat had just enough energy to tell Mary where her medicine was. Mary wasted no time. She quickly found the medicine and brought it to Pat. Mary saved Pat's life. Because of her rescue, Mary was honored by many people. Some have called Mary Acton a hero, but she is still the quiet, caring person her friends have come to love. To Mary, it's not important to be a hero. It's enough to be a friend. Number 1 says, what is the most likely reason the author wrote this passage? A, to explain the importance of having friends. Do you think the main reason for this passage is to explain the importance of having friends? It really focuses on Mary Acton's life, so I don't really think that's going to be the answer, so I'm going to cross out A. To show readers that anyone can save a life? Maybe. Let's move on and see what other choices we have. To convince readers to learn sign language? Was this author really trying to convince the reader to learn sign language? I don't think so. If the author was, they would say things like, please do your part and learn sign language, or take classes to learn sign language. sign language. They would be trying to convince us to do that, and I don't think the author was doing that, so C is not the answer. To give information about Down syndrome. See, to me, if this passage was only to give information about Down syndrome, it would have been more of an informational passage just about Down syndrome. I don't really think it would have told about specifically Mary's life and how she saved another person. So I'm going to say no on D as well. And I'm going to go ahead and say B, to show readers that anyone can save a life. Number 2, read the sentence from the passage. Using sign language is one of Mary's greatest talents. Is this sentence a fact statement or an opinion, and why? Well, let's remember, fact can be proven to be either true or false. So if I say there are 63 states in the United States, that is a fact. But is it a true fact? No. There are only 50 states. See, that statement can be proven to be true or false. That is a fact. This statement here has a word that's an opinion word in it. And that word is greatest. Using sign language is one of Mary's greatest talents. Can that be proven? No. What if Mary has other talents, like her TV guide talent? She remembers what's on TV. That's a talent. I might think that's a better talent than sign language. Who knows? That's why it's an opinion statement. This is an opinion statement because it cannot be proven to be true or false. It's just an opinion. All right, number 3. Which detail from the passage supports the claim that Mary is a hero? Mary lives with her friends. Does that show that Mary's a hero because she lives with her friends? There's lots of people that live with their friends, but I don't really think that makes them a hero. So I'm going to say no on A. B, Mary learns sign language. Well, once again, there are a lot of people that know sign language in the world. Not as many probably that should, but does that make her a hero? I don't really think so. Mary likes to watch television. There are lots of people that like to watch television. I like to watch television. I don't consider myself a hero for that. So I'm going to say no on that one. Hopefully this last one's the right answer. Mary saves her friend's life. There we go. That's something heroic. If I saved my friend's life, I would be considered a hero. So yes, D. Mary saved her friend's life. That is what is considered to make her a hero. Number 4, which of these sentences contains an opinion word? Remember, we talked about fact versus opinion. Opinion cannot be proven to be true or false. With the help of a caring teacher, Mary learned to use sign language. Okay. The word caring, that could be an opinion word. Let's just hold on to that one and wait and see. Asthma is an illness that affects a person's breathing. Are there any opinion words in here? I don't see any. This is a fact. Asthma is an illness that affects a person's breathing. So that's not an opinion statement. C, they also share their home with the person who manages the house. Are there any opinion statements here? Can that be proven that they share a home with someone that manages the house? Yeah, that can be proven. So that is not an opinion statement. Down syndrome is a health problem that affects the body and mind. Are there any opinion statements in there? Any opinion words? No. This can be proven to be true or false as well. Down syndrome is a health problem, and it does affect the body and mind. So no. The first one here is an opinion because it says a caring teacher. One person might think the teacher's caring, and the other might not. So that's why it's an opinion. It cannot be proven true or false. And last page for today, read this sentence from the passage. Pat had just enough energy to tell, in quotes, Mary where her medicine was. In this sentence, why does the author include quotation marks around tell? Well, usually when someone is telling someone something, they are talking with their voices, with their mouth. That's not what Pat was doing. She wasn't actually speaking. She was doing what? She was using sign language. That's why it has the word tell in quotes, because she's not actually speaking it, but yet she is telling Mary something. So, the author included quotation marks because she wasn't actually speaking, comma, she was using sign language. The author included quotation marks because she wasn't actually speaking. She was using sign language. Number 6. Why do Mary's roommates call her the TV guide? A. She's in charge of the television. B. She watches television instead of cleaning. C. She likes to tell others what's on television. D. She is the only one who can work the television. Let's take a look. I don't really remember why it said they call her TV guide. So I'm going to go here and read what it says. When Mary isn't helping to clean, she likes to watch television with her friends. She loves to tell everyone what's on. That's why they call her the TV guide. So she loves to tell everyone what's on. She's in charge of the television? No. She watches television instead of cleaning? No. She likes to tell others what's on television? Yes. She is the only one who can work the television? No. So the answer is C. She likes to tell others what's on television. Which section of the passage explains what Down syndrome is? Okay, we need to go back to our passage and look at the different headings. We have living in a special home, life with Down syndrome, Mary's time in school, Mary saves the day. Out of those 4 headings, only one of them says Down syndrome in the heading. So that makes me think that maybe that part explains what Down syndrome is. So I'm going to look. Life with Down syndrome. Mary was born with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a health problem that affects the body and mind. People with this condition have difficulty learning. Okay, so life with Down syndrome is the part that tells us about what Down syndrome is. So life with Down syndrome. Okay? And last question. What word from the passage means the same thing as syndrome? Well, let's think of it. Down syndrome. Let's look here. Down syndrome is a health problem that affects the body and mind. People with this condition have difficulty learning. So let's look at the choices. Condition. Ooh. Chores. Needs. Manager. If you look in that sentence that we just read, it says people with this condition. So it actually uses the synonym here. It is a condition. And it even tells us in the passage. So a synonym for the word syndrome would be condition. Chores does not make sense. Needs, no. Manager, no. A condition. And that's the end of the lesson for today. Thank you guys for following along, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.